Eala set for U.S. campaign, visits Nike headquarters. Manila, Philippines. Alex Eala on Friday arrived in the United States for two massive tournaments that could catapult her to the world's top 30 for the first time ever. It's an early touchdown for the 20-year-old Filipina in a bid to prepare better and longer for the Indian Wells Open, BNP Paribas, from March 4th to 15th and the Miami Open on March 17th to 29th, both WTA 1000 tournaments as the tour shifts to the West. Eala is on the heels of a productive stop in the East, scoring all but one playoff finishes in Oceania and Asia, highlighted by a last 8 stint in the prestigious WTA 1000 Dubai Duty-Free Tennis Championships last week. She also impressed in the WTA 250 ASB Classic in Auckland, New Zealand, semifinals, WTA 125 Philippine Women's Open, quarterfinals, and the WTA 500 Abu Dhabi Open, where she reached the singles quarterfinals and doubles semifinals with Indonesian partner Janice Tien, WTA number 36. The lone early exit for Eala, who also bagged the exhibition title in the Kooyong Classic and debuted in the Australian Open main draw in Melbourne, so far was in round 1 of the WTA 1000 Qatar Open. Her solid run catapulted her to number 31 in the WTA rankings with 1432 points, plus 215, from number 47 last week as one of the greatest movers among all players with a 16-rung improvement, setting the stage to move closer to tennis greats given another strong showing in California and Miami. Before plunging back to action though, Eala swung by the Nike World Headquarters in Oregon, where she was welcomed with a cavalry and fitting present including her own portraits. History in full bloom, stated one of the portraits along the legendary tunnel featuring other Nike global ambassadors across all sports, where Eala posed with a big smile and a peace sign. Also enshrined in the tunnel is Eala's selfie with Filipino fans, underscoring her fast-growing global stardom with packed stadiums every tournament so far this year, especially in Oceania and the Middle East. Eala also mirrored the biggest portrait on display, with both hands on her face in disbelief and tears after barging into the Final Four of the Miami Open last year. Her magical run in the Miami Open, where she came all the way from the qualifiers as a wild card before slaying top 10 players and Grand Slam champions Iga Swiatek of Poland, Jelena Ostapenko of Latvia and home bet Madison Keys, shattered the gates wide open for her now unstoppable international rise. Eala broke into the top 100 for the first time after Miami, thus qualifying in all 1000 level tours and slam main draws, before making it to the top 50 late last year, top 40 this month, then at number 31. With a bigger legion of fans behind this time around, Eala is out to replicate or even surpass the feat to climb upper in the world tennis echelon. Alex Eala at Nike Incorporated headquarters. The morning air in Beaverton carried the quiet electricity of possibility. Inside the sprawling campus of Nike Incorporated headquarters, glass buildings reflected the gray Oregon sky like polished mirrors. Athletes had walked these paths before, legends, icons, rebels of sport. But today, the rhythm of footsteps belonged to someone writing her own chapter, Alex Eala. She arrived not just as a tennis player, but as a symbol of momentum, of Southeast Asian excellence rising onto the global stage. At just 19, Alex carried with her more than rackets and match experience. She carried the pride of the Philippines, the discipline shaped by years of training abroad, and the quiet steel of someone who understands that greatness is not declared, it is earned. The campus of champions. The Nike World Headquarters doesn't feel like a corporate office. It feels like a living museum of ambition. Buildings named after icons. Walls etched with the words of dreamers. Courts, tracks, and fields stretching out like invitations. As Alex stepped into the Serena Williams building, named for one of tennis' most transformative figures, she paused. Serena's legacy wasn't just about titles, it was about changing the shape of belief. Alex understood that deeply. Every time she stepped onto a court, she was expanding the imagination of young Filipino athletes who once wondered whether someone from Manila could compete with the world's best. A campaign shoot awaited her, a new US-focused initiative spotlighting global athletes reshaping the future of sport. The concept was simple yet powerful: define your arena. For Alex, the arena was more than a tennis court. Between two worlds. Growing up in the Philippines before moving to train internationally, Alex learned early what it meant to live between cultures. She spoke with the calm clarity of someone comfortable in global spaces, yet she carried the warmth and humility deeply rooted in Filipino values. The campaign creative team asked her a question during rehearsal. "What does America represent to you?" She thought for a moment. "Opportunity," she answered. "But also challenge. It's where the best compete. And I want to belong in that conversation." The director nodded. That was the heart of it. This wasn't about a rival. It was about pursuit. On court, under the sharp Oregon light, Alex moved with fluid precision. Forehand, backhand, split step, recover. The ball machine hummed like a metronome. Cameras captured not just athleticism but intention, the micro-adjustments of footwork, the focused gaze before a return, the small exhale before serve toss. Nike's team had studied her playing style: aggressive baseline control, strategic shot placement, mental resilience. But what intrigued them most was her composure. In high-pressure moments, she didn't unravel. She recalibrated. That quality, they believed, resonated strongly with young American audiences navigating their own competitive arenas: academics, sports, creative fields. The wall of statements. Later, Alex was guided to a corridor where bold typography covered the walls. "If you have a body, you are an athlete." She ran her fingers lightly across the lettering. Campaign stylists fitted her in performance apparel tailored for dynamic court movement, lightweight, engineered for speed. But between wardrobe changes, conversations flowed naturally. Designers asked about climate conditions in Southeast Asia tournaments. Performance researchers discussed humidity adaptations. Brand strategists explored how her story could inspire cross-cultural dialogue. This wasn't a one-dimensional endorsement. It was collaboration. Alex shared how training in Spain had sharpened her tactical thinking. How representing her country in Grand Slams came with emotional weight. How every international win felt shared, broadcast across Philippine living rooms where young girls watched with widened eyes. In one film segment, she delivered a line that would later anchor the campaign. "I come from islands, but I compete on continents." The room fell quiet. It wasn't scripted. It was true. Echoes of the past, vision of the future. At lunch, she toured Nike's archives, rooms housing decades of innovation. Prototype shoes. Vintage campaigns. Letters from athletes describing moments of doubt before moments of glory. She stopped in front of a display honoring trailblazers who redefined tennis style and culture. Though separated by era and geography, she felt a kinship. Each had faced skepticism. Each had been underestimated. The U.S. market is fiercely competitive, saturated with narratives of dominance. But Alex's story offered something different: global perspective, technical refinement shaped abroad, and the hunger of someone who understands she is still